When it comes to improving your overall health, many people have spoken about sleep. Let's take a look at 5 specific benefits associated with sleep that you may not even be aware of. The first thing we want to take a look at is, let's go all the way down to the cellular level associated with health. When you look at the mitochondria, or you look at the health of all of the, what we refer to as the organelles, all the different parts inside the cell, it's like its own little community, if you will. Imagine there's literally health within the cell itself. Most of us think about big picture, muscle, bone, tendons, ligaments. But if we go all the way down to the cellular level, when you go to sleep at night, your body gets an opportunity to literally rejuvenate itself at a cellular level. This is why nutrition is so important. This is why it's important to not keep food from the body, referring indirectly to intermittent fasting. This is why we don't want to alienate a particular food group like paleo or keto, because that mixture of carbs, protein, and fat all contributes to the health of each individual cell. Stop and think about that. When you go and you get your blood work drawn and you get the results back and they tell you that you're out of range with something, well, think about what would cause you to be in range. Eating adequate amount of vitamin B6, B12, iron, zinc, iodine, all of these different micronutrients that you see on your blood results. But where do those micronutrients come from? A diversity of foods. So the number one thing you have to think about from the standpoint of health relevant to sleep is that while you're asleep, your blood's got this influx of constant vitamins and minerals. That's going to build the cellular health. Those are the building blocks so that when you lay down, the cells have a chance to actually get healthy from the intracellular level moving outward. The second benefit from a health standpoint associated with sleep is going to be at a hormonal level. Now, what's interesting about this is hormones like testosterone are only produced and released while you're asleep. When you look at human growth hormone, it's released when you're asleep. So this is what's so powerful when you're looking at the health benefits associated with sleep and why we need to make it such a priority, is we want to make sure that the body has a chance to rejuvenate itself from the inside out. When you look at human growth hormone, when you look at testosterone, when you look at the idea that there's macronutrients, amino acids come from your protein intake, those building blocks, those hormones that are being released into the blood are what actually make you leaner and stronger. I say to all of my clients, you never get stronger by going to the gym. You never get sport specific better by doing your sport. It happens when you sleep and you complement that with good eating. You have a good influx of vitamins and minerals and macronutrients, and then you're in bed for 8, preferably 9 hours, giving your body plenty of time to rebuild itself. And what we're talking about here is we want to rejuvenate the body from the inside out. And you do that by giving it adequate amounts of time to let the hormones do their job. We all joke about how powerful hormones are when it comes to moodiness, sex drive, all these different little things that we joke about. It becomes a reality. If you want to be stronger, you want to be leaner. Now again, we're talking only from the perspective of health, right? Everybody is working hard to get leaner or wants to be leaner. Believe it or not, it starts by letting the body release human growth hormone and testosterone, which makes you naturally leaner when you sleep. Who would think that you can get leaner just by going to sleep, by letting hormones do their job? The third thing that we want to look at from the standpoint of health associated with sleep would be strengthening your immune system. When you're nobody likes to be sick. If you're looking at something that's going to ruin your productivity at work, if you're looking at something that's going to impede on your incremental improvement associated with athletic performance, if you're sick, you have downtime. Don't you find it a little bit ironic that once we become sick, we're running a fever, we're achy, what do? We sleep. I hope you see the irony in all of that. If you have a little one at home, you can always tell before they say anything to you, all of a sudden they're lethargic. Maybe they're sleeping more than usual. Maybe they're a little bit cranky. Well, we're no different. We just mask it and we call it names. Oh, you're moody, you're not a morning person, etc., etc. The body's ability to improve the immune system only comes from giving itself plenty of rest. I always like to compare you to an infant. Go back to when an infant has no words. They can't explain that they're tired. They can't explain that they're achy. They can't explain that they don't feel good. They can't explain that they're running a fever. Well, when we look at this as an adult or somebody who's old enough to have our own words, the immune system can only be strengthened through adequate food and sleep intake. Notice I said the word intake because those work synergistically. Food doesn't do as an effective job when the body's under stress. Food is more effective when you're sleeping. So that's why it's a perfect integration. How do we strengthen our immune system? From the standpoint of health and wellness, it starts by making sure that you get adequate amounts of sleep. The fourth variable we want to take a look at relevant to sleep and health is going to be your cognitive skills, your brain's ability to think clearly. Many people are not aware of this, that when you go to bed at night, your body is able to actually clean up the brain health. It's going to improve memory. It's going to do everything, like when you work out your muscles, you break them down during the day, you feed them amino acids, then when you lay down, the muscles grow. They thicken, they recover from the breakdown of muscle tissue. I want you to think about your abilities, your brain's ability to process school, work, interpersonal, financial, athletic. You're trying to solve a lot of problems. If you are trying to improve your interpersonal relationship, that takes work. Thinking clearly, thinking ahead, thinking about them instead of yourself. When you go to bed at night, think about your brain just like a muscle. You've torn it down. You got to give it a chance to purge its metabolic waste. You want to relax the brain. You want to give it plenty of time to not think, and it literally becomes stronger. You're going to have better thinking skills. You're going to have better problem solving skills. You're going to be more mentally resilient to adversity, disappointment. Again, if I go back to the illustration of an infant, when a child is tired, how reasonable are they? They're not. And neither are we, but as I've teased, we have a tendency to just chalk it up and give it a title, moody, you're just not a morning person, you're short-tempered, whatever. No. For us to improve the brain's ability to think and think clearly, to be able to elevate itself as a problem solver, if you're trying to learn music, a new foreign language, the more you sleep, the better your chances of learning that new skill. Fifth and final element associated with sleep and health is avoiding disease. If you've paid attention to the first four, you realize that we started at a cellular level and we essentially just kind of came through the body from the inside out. If you have followed me for any period of time, you've heard me use this analogy where, maybe not an analogy, more of an illustration of, think about a cell, then I want you to think about cells make up a tissue, tissue makes up an organ, organs make up a system. Well, when you get diagnosed with some disease, what they're essentially doing is they're labeling your system as diseased. So it's at the highest level, and you can drill all the way down. The system is diseased, which means the various tissues have been negatively impacted, and it starts all the way down at a cellular level. Now, when we're looking at the prevention of disease and the value associated with sleep is, if you go back and you listen to the first four, we talked about the idea that the body can release hormones. Well, when the body releases hormones, you are essentially balancing the system that makes you stronger to a disease. When you get a cancerous cell that comes in your body, it needs the nutrients in the sleep to be able to offset that cancerous cell. If you've got a microbe that's come in, the only way your body can really effectively kill that virus is the energy tank can only be spread so thin, it's either going to keep up with the activities you're asking, or you're going to give it enough time to kill any microbe that's gotten into your system. And every day that you can go by that you're not sick, you're preventing disease taking over your body. Now, this is not to over dramatize, hey, I got a microbe in a year that's not what I'm trying to insinuate. It's the exact opposite. For you to be healthy on a daily basis, you've got to give your body what it needs. So if you want to be void of disease long term, you've got to make sure that the days before have what it needs: adequate food, hydration, and sleep. When you put the food and the water together, those are the building blocks, then that funnels in, you give your body a period of time that allows for all of the time necessary to rejuvenate itself. You will be stronger from the inside out. You'll have better cognitive mental skills. You're going to have everything that you need to be a healthy person, and that's what matters at the end of the day. I can't thank you enough for sticking around with me. These 5 points are something that's so important because even if you don't consider yourself an athlete, all of us need to be healthy. If you're athletic, your athletic ability is based on the foundation of health. I know that may seem like a very obvious comment on today's video, but it's interesting to me how many people will step over $1 to pick up a penny. You work extremely hard to come home and have a nice house and to be able to take care of your family. You work hard to be with your family. But if you aren't healthy, what do they get at the end of the day? They get what's left over. This is why sleep becomes so incredibly important, is because I want you to be mentally aware when you're with friends and family. I want you to be the best you can at work and at school. If athletics are important to you, I want that to be there for you as well. So thank you for taking the time to listen to these 5 things. Please take them to heart. It's just like a good book, right? The book is of no value unless you do something with the knowledge that you gain. And I hope you'll apply that here from the standpoint of health. If you happen to have a question, please feel free to leave me a comment below. If you'd rather keep it a little more personal, send me a direct email, contact@coachrobb.com. These videos stem from all emails that are sent in. If you haven't liked, subscribed, and turned on notifications, please do so, because we will be putting out another video tomorrow answering your questions, and we can't thank you enough for doing that. We'll see you tomorrow.